The Godot team and contributors have been cooking again, and this 4.7 release is really exciting, especially for UI, shaders, 3D, and more. As always, I'm sharing with you the features I find the most interesting, and you can find the full list of changes in the blog post linked in the description. Sorry if I sound a little weird, I'm quite sick as I'm recording this video. This video is not sponsored, and I kinda need your help. Making these videos about Godot takes time and makes basically no money. If you want and can support me, you can join the Patreon or do a one-time donation on Ko-fi. Of course, the best support is buying my games. I released LexiSpell just a few weeks ago, so if you enjoy roguelike word games, this might be for you. And it supports me directly. Also, I offer consulting sessions about game dev, UI, and juice, and I do freelance. So don't hesitate to hit me up, all the info are in the description. Thanks for your support, and let's go back to the video. Godot has a bunch of new UI features, and one of them is incredibly exciting for everyone. It's a literal game changer. The first change is the new custom max size property by Enzo Novoselic. Similar to custom minimum size, which ensures a control will never be smaller than this value, max size allows you to prevent controls from expanding too far. This is incredibly useful when working with containers, and it gives you finer control on how children should behave, especially when set to fill and expand. This makes it very easy to prevent your button to become very wide, for example. If you've ever worked with RichTextLabel, you know that including images at the right size can be a pain. Thanks to this new PR by Malcolm Anderson, you can now use the EM notation to specify the image size. One EM means the same size as the font. This is a seemingly small but incredibly useful change. Long lists were difficult to navigate, so Alexander Strang added a search field at the top of the pop-up menu, allowing you to easily search for the right item. This is available to all pop-up menus nodes, so it means it's right there in the editor, but also in your game or apps. The other new and very important change I teased earlier is the transform offset, created by Timo Schwarzer. This is a game changer for UI, especially when it comes to animating UI elements inside of containers. This transform offset is a transform, so position, rotation, and scale, that will be applied as an offset from the normal transform you already know. To make it simple, it means that a control node inside a container will be constrained by the container as always, so its position, rotation, and scale are controlled by the container. But you can use the transform offset to apply a transform on top of that. In practice, you can see the elements in the container here, and I'm able to make them rotate, scale, and even move them. While it was totally possible to animate UI even with containers, this feature makes it so much easier, and it can even allow you to create some more unconstrained UI designs more easily. Overall, it's a big win to make UI easier and more powerful. I recently made a video about this specific feature, so I really recommend watching it if you want to learn more and go further. Virtual joysticks are super useful when making mobile games, and Godot now has a built-in solution thanks to Kessox 61. The virtual joystick can be configured to be fixed or moving, and of course it can be themed to make it look like what you want. In the Godot 4.6 video, I talked about the inclusion of SDL3 to handle inputs, and how it would enable more advanced features in the future. Well, the future is now, and Nintorch made motion sensors from gamepads usable in Godot. This gives access to the gyroscope and accelerometer that might be in your gamepad. It's specifically for gamepads though, as phones' sensors were already available. Unfortunately, I don't have a gamepad with this feature, so I cannot demonstrate. Godot on Android continues to become better and better, and games can now be put in picture-in-picture mode thanks to the PR by Fredia Huyakuwajo. This is super useful for idle games or even allowing users to do something else while the game doesn't require their input. Games running in picture-in-picture will not receive inputs. Anish Kumar made the embedded game window resizable and repositionable on Android. I love seeing how Godot continues to develop on mobile and tablets. This is truly amazing and makes game dev even more accessible. I love it. Yuri Rubinsky made a new feature to allow to set visual breakpoints on different lines in your shader in order to generate a preview for what the shader looks like until this point. It's a similar feature to what you have in visual shaders when you have a preview on the node. The PR followed an add-on that was created recently that I've personally been using a lot. It's great to see how fast, incredibly useful features like these can be implemented. This is another reason to create add-ons to test and validate new behaviors you'd like to see integrated in the engine. I personally don't like the Animationplayer that much compared to Tweens, and one of the reasons is the UI and UX. This is getting better though, with the ability to toggle groups of tracks by Malcolm Anderson. If you're animating multiple properties of multiple nodes, the amount of visible tracks can get quite overwhelming. This simple feature makes it super easier to focus on what you really want to work on. The Godot Asset Store has been in beta for a while with a fresh presentation, tags, voting, but no payment service for now. It has now been integrated directly in the Godot editor thanks to Michael Alexander, replacing the asset library. I'm really excited to see this change and what it means for the future of Godot. Right now, the features are relatively similar with a few quality of life upgrades. The page looks better and displays upvotes, and in the add-on details page, you have more information. You can also choose a version to install. It's super exciting to see this new asset store with possibly new features coming in the future. Continuing with cool editor features, the export template has been entirely reworked to allow downloading individual templates, thanks to Thomas Chabora. This is pretty cool if you only need Windows and Linux, for example, and it will make the final Godot installation even smaller for many of us. Working with Path 3D in Godot can be frustrating when placing points in 3D. Thanks to this new feature by Gustavo Jarriga Cruz, you can now snap the point to the surface your mouse is hovering. This makes placing points where you want so much easier. Moving things in 3D is also challenging, but it gets a little easier thanks to Robert Yevdokimov, which added vertex snapping. You hold B to start vertex snapping, and then the yellow circle indicates which vertex is going to be snapped. It turns green when snapped. This is super useful, and it's going to make level design a little bit less horrible. You know the hassle of copying values from one object to another manually in the editor? Well, it's over. You can now select all the values from a section, copy and paste them to another object with the same properties, of course, thanks to Raphael Dobelcourt. All these quality of life features are so awesome to see. I was complaining about that a few weeks ago, and seeing it in engine right now is so cool. All of those quality of life features are super awesome to see. Dexter added a very cool feature for 2D users, Scene Paint Tool. This allows you to select a scene from the file system and paint with it like you would on a tile map, for example. On top of that, you can pre-configure the instance in the inspector, like changing some of its values or colors, for example. This makes level design so much easier. It's awesome. Another pain point in Godot has been debugging. While it has been made so much better in the recent Godot 4 versions, there is still something frustrating about figuring out what objects are as we only see their IDs. This has been solved by Jaden Sipe by adding the class name of the object next to its ID. It makes finding the right object so much easier thanks to the icon, class name, and ID showing now. There are tons of other improvements to the editor, so I really recommend you take a look at the blog post to see it for yourself. One-way collisions have always been odd to me, especially because you are not able to select in which direction the collision should occur. Thanks to Tsunami, this is now fully configurable and no longer hard-coded to be up. This allows more complex behaviors like rotating collisions. If you're a tween lover like me, you'll be happy with this new feature added to tweens, awaitTweener by Thomas Chabora. This allows you to wait for a specific signal inside of a tween. It means sequencing things is now much easier and cleaner, and it really makes tweens the ultimate solution to animate everything. A new gradient texture is available thanks to Collier Raman. Gradient Texture 2D can now use a conic gradient, which is super useful for some shaders or reveal effects. 3D particles were lacking simple scale and rotation control, but this has thankfully been fixed by Q by Shay. Scale 3D Max and Scale 3D Min are used to control the scale without relying on creating an XYZ curve. and Angle 3D Max and Angle 3D Min lets you control the angle. A pretty big feature that was first discussed in 2023 is finally available, Drawable Textures by Colin O'Rourke. As the name suggests, it's a way for you to draw on textures using the GPU. Before this, you had 3 ways of achieving something similar. 1, do it on the CPU, setting the pixels 1 by 1. It was slow and not compatible with shaders. Viewports were another very common way to do that, where you would basically render something to the viewport and then get the result by grabbing the texture. While it worked, it was cumbersome and still limited as you were not able to do multipasses, so you had to resort to using multiple viewports, for example. Finally, compute shaders were introduced a while ago, and they've been the go-to way to do advanced shaders and texture magic. The problem is the advanced part. It's a lot of boilerplate code if you simply want to stamp a texture into another one and get the result. I'll let you dive into the feature, but you get access to functions to draw on texture and apply shaders. Drawable textures are compatible both with compatibility and forward plus renderer. Viewports had a property to change the render scale, but were limited to certain filtering techniques that were not compatible with pixelated look. Thanks to Hugo Locorcio, they now have nearest neighbor as a scaling option, allowing to maintain that crisp pixelated look. Rectangular lights are used often when creating renders in software like Blender, and they're now in Godot thanks to Emil Dobbetsberger. Just like the other lights, the shape and size can be changed, and of course, they can project images too. And that is my selection of features for Godot 4.7. Thanks again to the core team and all the contributors and people donating money. Godot continues to grow and I can't wait to see where it's going to go. There are way more features, fixes, and improvements I didn't cover, so I encourage you to take a look at the release post. There's a bunch of other cool niche features that you might enjoy. Tell me in the comments below what feature you enjoy the most, and don't hesitate to share if I missed something you think deserves more attention. As always, if you want to support my work, you can find my course, my games, and my Patreon linked down below. I also have consultation calls available, so don't hesitate if you want to talk game dev, UI, and juice. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.